So the stock market is essentially a an environment where you can invest in a grand majority of the companies that we all utilize today. So iPhone, Samsung, right? You can invest in even in some cases in your favorite team, like in the UK, they're doing that. You can invest in Manchester.
Welcome to Pushing Your Peers Podcast, the #1 podcast in the region for living a progressive and happier life. What if building wealth was simpler than you think? And you could start with just a few dollars. On this episode, we're joined by Alexander Encinar, co-founder of Prospuh, as we break down stock market investing in a way that everyday people can understand. We discuss fractional shares, automated investing, financial literacy, and how platforms like Prospuh are helping Caribbean people access opportunities once reserved for the wealthy. Be sure to like, subscribe so you never miss an episode. Sit back, relax, and let's get ready to push some peers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again, Alexander, on the show. Now, before we dive into the questions, I'm going to play a video that pretty much introduces Prospuh. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so have a listen.
Your parents didn't invest because it was complicated. You don't have that excuse. Back then, investing meant $50,000 minimums and calling up a broker in the city. Your mommy didn't have that kind of access. And your Grammy definitely didn't either. But now, you can buy a piece of Tesla in 30 seconds right from your phone. So what's really stopping you? Maybe it's excuses, fear, or just not knowing where to start. Prospuh has changed the game. You don't need a suit or a stockbroker. You just need a smartphone, some Wi-Fi, and $20. Don't repeat history. Rewrite it.
So, Alexander, tell us about Prospuh, this app. How did this idea come about?
So my business partner, Enan, who couldn't be here today, unfortunately, he's a very busy man. We actually, it goes back a while. So we were on the national team together for swimming. We did Carifta together. We did all that from back when we were 13. And, we went our separate ways. And when we got back together right after COVID, he was already working on the project coming from a job he had in the UK. And I was working in NASA at the time as a trader for a private bank. And we kind of just put the heads together and decided that, investing should be for everybody, and it shouldn't just be for the ultra wealthy. And looking at the United States and Canada and Europe, where they give access to the everyday person to the investment markets. We were like, look, this is something that we can capitalize and improve our environment and help the Caribbean people who have zero access to such investments, right? So typically in the Caribbean, particularly in the Bahamas, it's a lot of real estate. People love real estate. And it kind of is just about that. You do have some investment firms that offer mutual funds, but they're not really performing to what it should be, and it's very expensive. You need a lot of money to even start. Some ask for $10,000, $25,000 minimum, and that's not accessible. So we understood that there was a huge gap, and we wanted to help the everyday person who is extremely hardworking, who might spend 30, 40 years working in the same firm and not own any equity in that firm, right? They're giving their whole life to helping someone else make a lot of money. So we were like, okay, this is a bridge where, if someone adds every month, they can retire with something substantial that will either for themselves or for their children, grandchildren, etc.
So, Alexander, talk to me now. I mean, this platform that you have, Prospuh, it allows you to invest in the stock market. Explain to the audience what is the stock market and how does investments in the stock market works.
So the stock market is essentially an environment where you can invest in a grand majority of the companies that we all utilize today. So iPhone, Samsung, right? You can invest in even in some cases in your favorite team, like in the UK, they're doing that. You can invest in Manchester, right? We don't have access to the UK just yet, But in the US, you can invest in Tesla, the car, right? You can invest in Nvidia, which is very, um, you know, in the news nowadays. So literally anything that you necessarily use, even the shoes, like Nike, you can invest in Nike. So you don't really have to, and going a little bit off of your question, when someone asks, "Oh, what should I invest in?" And I always say, well, look at what you use on a day-to-day basis. Do you own a Honda, right? A car, you can invest in Honda, right? Do you wear Nikes? Are you into Jordans? You can invest into Nike, right? Do you have an iPhone? You can invest in that too. And when people search up a stock, it's $300. Well, Prospuh allows people to invest in fractional shares. So you don't have to have the $300 to invest in, let's say, Apple or Nvidia, etc. You can just own a portion of that stock. So it really makes it accessible.
Amazing. So diving deeper into it, you have all these companies in the stock market. You have the app. Walk me through the setup stages and how I'm able to now make an investment into an Apple or Tesla or any one of these big companies that you've talked about.
The setup is actually quite easy. Um, all you really need is your passport and your driver's license and just taking a selfie, to be honest. And you gotta ask a couple. You get asked a couple questions, right? But it's all very simple. Nothing that you. It's all about you really and what you do, just so we can get to know you a little bit. And it takes about 5 minutes.
And then is I'm trading now. I purchased, is there like tutorials on the app? Like how do I become familiar with the app in the stock market once I download it?
So on our website, actually, we have a section that is has tutorials, and you'll have everything that you need to know from how to sign up, actually, how to purchase your first trade, how to sell it, what are the different types of purchasing, right? Because you can buy with a limit or without a limit. And for those that don't know, um, typically you can set, let's say, if the price of the stock is moving, let's say between 100 and 101, you typically want to buy a little lower, maybe. So you can set the price at 100, and then when the price goes down to that 100, it'll execute, and you'll be able to purchase there. It's all automatic once you set the limit. But if you don't really care and you just want to go into the stock immediately right there, then it will just be a market order. So it's very simple. There's no numbers to think about. You just can press buy and swipe. Um, and it goes beyond that. It teaches you how to look at stocks. It teaches you how to use anything and every button of the app. There's different sections, so you can set up automated investing. So if you already know that, oh, I like these top 10 stocks, then you can select all the 10 stocks, say how much you want to invest in each every month, and it will do it automatically for you. So if every month you know that you want to invest, let's say in Apple for, let's say, $100, you can automate that. Every month your card will be charged and investing for you without you even having to think about it or even stress, because investing can be, for the newcomers a bit stressful because it involves money. And when you're so hardworking to earn that money, I understand when you try to swipe that card, it could be a little bit tight on your chest. But we try to remove that,
Absolutely.
And also, there's another part that's really important is that not a lot of the banks, or actually all the banks in the Caribbean, don't really give interest on your cash. And it's really important for us that we get the cash always working. And instead of, you know, putting your cash aside on the bank and where it's not making any money and the bank is just taking fees, we actually manage to, through our counterparties, to offer a 3.5% interest annualized on your cash. That doesn't even have to be invested; it just has to be sitting in Prosper. So that's pretty special.
So even if I'm not investing this money, I'm still earning something on my money in
Exactly.
Prosper.
Exactly. There is a little button that you have to like switch on. We don't do it for everybody because we have to get authorization by the user. but typically it's just a toggle button that you switch on the earning interest, and that user will earn 3.5% annualized on the cash that's just sitting around.
I mean, I gotta drop a bomb for that. That's amazing, man. I'm loving what I'm hearing. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've had interest in getting in the stock market, there's an app called Prospuh which makes the process easy for you. You download it, you go on their website, you learn about the stock market and also how to use the app. Your money can sit on the app where it earns about a 3.5 interest, and you're also trading. So your money is basically working for you. This is a great job by Alexander and the whole Prosper team. I just want to clap you guys up for recognizing the problem. All right, so we're gonna dive more into the stock market because I know the person's listening and they say, man, this sounds too complex to me. So we're gonna explore it a little bit more. If you are listening, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. So Alexander, I've been, interested in the stock market for quite some time. I keep hearing about crypto, bonds, ETFs, the actual stock themselves. Can you explain all these things to us? Like, what should we be doing with all the things that I just mentioned when we enter the stock market?
So as of right now in Prosper, we only have stocks and ETFs. And for those that don't know ETFs, it's an exchange traded fund. And putting it very simply, it's a basket of stocks. So you have large firms like BlackRock, Vanguard, who a lot of people who are into investing might already know who they are. And they create these baskets of investments that already select the top companies. So for example, Vanguard has a ETF called it's VOO, and it tracks the top 500 companies in the stock market. So if you don't even want to think about what to invest, you don't know, it stresses you out, you can just invest in VOO and you'll have already exposure to all the top 500 companies. And that's pretty much it. It's actually quite good. And the last I think the statistics right now is the last 50 years, that particular ETF has performed about 10% a year. And more recently, in the last five, about 13 to 14% a year, which is quite incredible.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
you have
So,
ET. Go ahead.
sorry. And then crypto, we do not do crypto. We don't dive into that, unfortunately, since FTX, and that whole thing. But we are opening up, we are launching options and futures in the next 12, well, by the end of the year, I'd say.
All right, thank you for sharing that, Alexander. Now let's dive into our social issues right here in the Caribbean. You have this amazing app that's giving everyone an opportunity now to be traders in the stock market and earn about 8 to 15% on their money based on how they're investing and selling and all that other stuff. I ain't trying to get too complex, right? But based on your knowledge, because I know you guys would have done your research and all this while building the app, why are Caribbean families stuck financially?
It is a very difficult topic because the Caribbean families are very hardworking. I mean, they're more hardworking than a lot of the North American families, and it's unfortunately is a loop of, and I can only really speak about the Bahamas, right? Because that's my environment, and I haven't spent enough time in the other countries to be able to say it's the same. But it's an environment where people tend to make their money and spend it immediately. I mean, I've been in situations where you go on a Friday afternoon when you see the lines at the bank, long, long, long. And then after that, the bar right next door, the liquor store right next door got the same exact line. So, it's simple things like that that, you're working so hard for your coin that, you know, then you spend the whole weekend spending it on drinks or on your gal and you know or something like that. So it complicated, man. So it's about you try and like re-educate and say, look, if you making $300 a week, I'm sure that you can spare $20 every week and trying to set it aside, or $20 a month even is quite a bit, over time. So it really is just, trying to stick to it and trying to create a environment of repetition. It really just is repetition. You wake up every day, you go to work every day, you spend your money every day, so why not invest every day, right?
Right.
Or every month.
Is there a percentage of your money that you would recommend persons investing every month if they're trying to get into this, every month investment behavior that you're talking about?
Everybody's in a different situation, right? So, my situation might not be your situation. Your situation might not be the next person's situation, right? But being cognizant on the situation of I need to be better and I need to be able to get to the next month, and I want to be able to save more and more every year for whatever it is that you're saving, either the next car or the next trip, or your Christmas present to your child. It really just comes to yourself, and anything and everything that you can save and invest is going to be beneficial. There's no set number. It really comes down to you as a person and your environment.
Now, now, Alexander, give us a paint a picture for us right now, right? Yeah, I mean, we've thrown a lot of figures out there, $20, $100, whatever. But give us a idea of how we would see a return on our investment based on a certain number we put into the market. And also, is there a percentage that Prosper keeps once we're able to withdraw that money?
So I'll explain a little bit of how things are spent, right, within Prosper. So you deposit. There is a little bit of a fee to deposit because of our wonderful banking system in our Caribbean environment. They do take a percentage of that. But within Prosper, when you're trading, there is a $5 fee for every time you trade. And the reason why we do that is to avoid people to gambling. We don't promote gambling. So if you are spending a little bit of money to invest, then you're gonna probably want to invest more for the longer term. We really appreciate long-term investors, even if that makes us a little bit less money over time, because that's just what we're trying to promote. And then when you withdraw the funds, there is a fee to withdraw, but that we're not charging. That's the international banking system, just because it's a direct wire from Prosper to the bank accounts either in Antigua or here in the Bahamas or Barbados, etc. So there's that banking fee that is charged. And I do
Okay.
want to mention though that and I think I might have mentioned it before our call or during, I can't remember right now. But the minimum deposit is $20. So you don't even have to stress. There's no large minimum to invest.
Okay.
It really is quite small.
All right, Alexander, you just download the app. You got like 500 bucks. What are you doing with your money once you download this app and you got 500 bucks to make your initial investment? What are you doing?
I I am definitely going to do my research, and it doesn't have to be 50 stocks. It can be one or two or just one ETF. And it really is just taking that first step. And once you take that first step and you get a taste of it, and you see on the stock going up and down during the week, you're going to get that interest of wanting more. But definitely the research. It's very important because you don't want to get into. We see this a lot. We see Bahamians and Jamaicans getting into penny stocks that are worth very little, and then expecting that huge upside of 200, 300%. But some do. I mean, we had an employee of ours that invested. I can't remember what it was. I think it was $1,000, and it went up to $13,000, something crazy like that within like a month and a half, right? But that doesn't always happen. That's what we try to say. Like that is, he actually first like went into it with a little bit. I think he went into it with like 200, and then it went up quite a bit. I think it went about 5 or 10%. He's like, oh, let me actually do some research on this stock because it's going up, and I want to understand why. And he ended up doing it, and he actually put more money into it, and it turned out to be great, and that's essentially what everybody has to do. And nowadays AI is free, right? A lot of it. You can pay for it, but a lot of it can be free, and it's there to assist you. If you don't know it, it's there to answer you, and it's there to answer you at a level of understanding that you're ready to receive it at, right? I a lot of times in topics that I don't understand, I go and I say, "Explain to this to me at an eighth grader level," and it will do it, and it's great. I really recommend that.
Thank you for sharing that, Alexander. So what I'm hearing from you, based on the platform, you don't want your users to be gambling their funds. You want them to have a long-term investment mindset when entering the platform,
Of
correct?
course. Of course. I mean, you're working hard for that money. You're not giving that money. You're not going to the casino and go blow it, right? So why would you do that with the stock market, right? Yes, if you have a risk appetite, go ahead. Nothing's stopping you. But if you're a hardworking person and that's your hard-earned money, that's your coin, save it, invest it, do it smart because you don't want to wake up one morning and see something happen. Oh, 20% of my money's gone. No, you don't
Yeah,
want to experience that. I've been there. Trust me, I've been there, and it hurt. So yeah, it's really just trying to be um, smart about it and not just gambling. It's not a gambling app.
amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna drop another bomb for this amazing thing app that you guys have. Uh, there's some. I was going through your page, Alexander, on Instagram, and there's something I want to talk about that you guys mentioned. You said budgeting keeps you broke in the Caribbean. Well, expand on that a little bit.
Oh man. Uh I think that when someone budgets, it's overly thoughtful. You start thinking about, oh, this and that, car payment or gas, and the more you budget, the more you see how much you spend, or how it's it's difficult to say because a lot of times when people are spending money, they are spending on materialistic things, right? And they do budget for that, right? They budget for the fun, they budget for the trips, they budget for this and that. And when they do budget for those things, then that saving and investment situation is shortening and shortening. So
Mhm.
if you don't budget and you just automatically invest, then your investment will be larger than when you're actually spending on things that are sometimes unnecessary, right? What I do and what I tell my friends to do and the people around me is when you receive that first paycheck, invest a portion. Because then you already think about, oh, I don't got, you know, let's say I'm receiving 2,000, right? And I put 200 on the side. Now I don't actually earn 2,000, I actually earn 1,800. So that 200 won't be spent on a weekend out with the boys or with my girl or whatever it is, right? So you already start budgeting in a different way. You start
Right,
budgeting when investments has already been made.
right. No, thank you. Now, becoming a millionaire, right? I've seen even content on your page about that. What does that look like when it in the platform itself? I mean, what figures should we be putting in if you're looking to retire a millionaire at the end of our careers? What's that monthly figure? What's the age? Can you expand on this a little bit?
Yeah, hold on. I'm pulling it up right now because there is uh there is a website. If you search up compound interest,
Mm-hmm.
first one is gonna come up is investor.gov. And there you can
Okay.
select, let's say, initial investment. So I'm gonna put, let's say, I'm gonna put $1,000.
And what is this site
That's
again?
It's called investor.gov, Gov. It's a U.S.
Investor.gov.
government website, right? But it gives you, it's like an online calculator. Let's say I put this amount. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you all the numbers. Just give me 1 second. If you start with $1,000, okay, and every month you're able to pool $100 only, okay, for 50 years, earning around 10%, like I mentioned earlier, if you invest in VOO, which has historically for the last 50 years. That's why I use 50 as an example, okay? You'll end up with 1.5 US dollars, 1.5 million US dollars at
Okay.
an interest at 10% annualized. So it is a situation where you don't have to start with 1,000, right? That is just an example, right? And you might not be able to invest, $100. Maybe you can invest 50 a month, but that is still a significant amount, to look forward to retirement, right? It is quite a significant amount, and it doesn't take much. It doesn't take a lot of effort to try and pool that little bit, that trickle every month just to invest it.
So if I do $200, I can cut that in half. It could be 25 years, right? If I,
Let's see. Let's see. If I put 200
I'm
to,
working for you
because it's
guys.
compound interest, right? So it's not a straight line. It's an exponential line. So it's kind of like a half of a U.
Got you.
So okay, see? So in 25 years, if you put 200, you'll have about 250,000. But if you leave it at the 50, look at this number, 2.9 million. So see how there's an exponential growth gap within just the last 25 years. So it is quite impressive, the big difference, right? So it takes you about 25 years to get 250,000, and then it takes you almost, well, it takes you 25 years to almost make 2.5 million.
Listen, it's amazing. That's amazing. So if I make a sacrifice, listen, if you're 20 years old, and you just say, man, $100 into a VOO or whatever the ETF is you want to invest in that has a return rate of, let's say, 18-15%. By the time you're ready to retire, you're going to be a millionaire. Not only will you be a millionaire, you still paying your national insurance. You still got your pension to get from whatever organization. So that million could be for whatever you want to do for retirement. That should set you well up for retirement. And that's just $100. Now, if you do $200, so this is really good information. And I love what you guys are doing in the Bahamas and creating avenues for wealth attention, because that's an area that needs to be talked about a lot more in the Caribbean. We
Yeah,
have a spending problem, but what we're creating with Prosper is investment behaviors. And
exactly.
if you guys are looking to get into the stock market, the organization has created tutorials on their website. Think about that. They are going to teach you how to trade. And as Alexander mentioned earlier, you have to be in it for the long term.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, and it's consistency. It really is. If you, obviously you can have 1 or 2 months, or let's say a year of a hiccup because something happened in the family, whatever. But as long as you can keep trying and add in, maybe every 2 months you can add something, it makes a huge difference in the long run. And it not only sets you up for good retirement, but it sets up your children for a good future too, and your grandchildren, right? So it really is that long term thing, and uh, it's hard to over and over like explain it because it is very special, and
No.
it's hard to understand sometimes, right? Because it is a long time, but you know, you're always going to be better. Just think about this: an investment today, once you make it, if you do a smart investment and you do your research, it'll always be a better day tomorrow or a better day in the future.
Now, Alexander, I got another question, and then we're gonna dive straight into the second half of the show. I mean, let's say I've been doing this since the age of 20, my $100. Um, I'm 20 years into this 100, just doing the what we're doing now. I'm 20 years into it, and I wanna purchase a house, right? Can I use my stock, uh, my portfolio as collateral to get a loan for purchasing a house?
So in the Caribbean that I am aware of, no. There are some. Now, don't quote me. I'm not too sure. I'm not familiar. That you cannot do that in the Bahamas. So since we're kind of all have the same banking, same banks like
System.
Scotia, RBC, and all those. I assume that you can't. But there are some countries that do allow that. I'm not sure in the Caribbean though.
Okay. Thank you, Alexander. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Chief Investment Officer from Prospuh, the app that allows you to participate in the stock market. And he's been on the show, Alexander. He's been on the show talking about the app, talking about our the financial opportunities that exist in the region with the app, and also shedding the light on some of our social behaviors that's limiting us from attaining wealth right here in the Caribbean. Thank you, Alexandra, for being on the show and talking about the app. But we're not done yet. You wouldn't be a guest on my show if you didn't get to push your peers. Are you ready? Any word or words that begins with the letter P that has been transformational to your journey, you now have a chance to push your peers.
So I was told not to use prosper, so I could use I'm gonna use progress.
Why progress?
Because you're always trying to grow. You're always trying to be a better person, whether it's financially or emotionally, or just as an individual. And that comes with progress, and that comes with the mental side, the physical side. It's a whole embodiment of going forward and making someone better than yourself. And if you make someone better than you, if you make yourself better, your investments will be better, your family situation will be better, and it's always going to be on the upwards move.
Amazing. Now, Alexander, I got a spin-off question for you. It's going to be a tough one. Are you ready? You can only save one for the rest of eternity. Chicken sauce or crack conch. Choose
Oh,
wisely
crack
because
conch. I don't even gotta think about that one. But I go straight crack conch. Anything conch, man.
nah, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Alexander, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. I can
Thank
see
you.
so many opportunities. I mean, currently, how many users do you have on the app?
Good question. I the last time we don't like to check numbers, like we focus on the work. The
Understandable.
numbers we don't even think about it because it's at least at the beginning when we first launched, it was like if you start looking and looking, not if the number wasn't moving, it was stressing us out, and we were trying, it would deviate us from the course. So we made it a thing not to look at the numbers. But I believe the last time I looked at it was last year, and it was close to about 30,000.
Okay. That's great. 30,000. And that was last year. All right. Now,
Yeah.
has there been any I know the app is fairly new, But I still should ask the question. I know you talked about your coworker putting 1,000 in and getting 13,000, which is a very rare thing, right? But has there been any other success stories from other persons who've used the app?
Oh, absolutely. Almost once a month we get a we get a message. We have a WhatsApp line, right? So you can message us on WhatsApp for any support, and sometimes we'll have a user either posting on their Instagram stories or messaging us on WhatsApp with a screenshot of their stock being up, 100, 200%, and it's actually quite cool to see every time. And we actually repost it. I think a lot of times when people post it on their stories, we'll repost it so people are aware that it's possible.
And that's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had Alexander, Chief Investment Officer from Prosper, on the show talking about the app, talking about how you can become a part of the app. And if you don't have no knowledge of the stock market and trading, they have a WhatsApp support group, they have the website, they have enough support there to get you on the right path of creating long-term wealth for you. You have to have a long-term mentality for this. This is not an instant success story. This is something that you're building for long-term to do whatever you want to do in the next 20 to 30 or even 20 to 50 years of your life, right? I don't know what your goals are. You might want to just go. I know some people, they live on cruise lines and just ride around and cruise on for the rest of retirement. That could be your goal, and this could be your way of having that goal achieved. But this is something that you want to participate in if you have long-term financial goals and you don't want your money sitting in the bank not earning something. Alexander, do you have any final words promoting the app or even about the app that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so as Leo mentioned, we do have a WhatsApp group. If you downloaded the app and you don't know what to do, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We have a great team that's going to reach out to you, respond to any question that you have, and progress. Always try and be better. Always trying to make yourself better and the people around you better. Because if the people around you progress, then you can progress too.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alexander, for coming on the show. And we hope to see more of persons from your organization even come on in the future and talk about Prosper and its many more success stories. We appreciate what you are doing in the region and getting our people more aligned with long-term investment and creating sustainable wealth for the future. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Pushing Your Peers podcast. And we'll see you guys next week.